All right. Welcome, everybody, to the NWO show where my camera is broken.
Nice. It happens, dude. It's all good.
There it is. Welcome, everybody, to the NWO show, your source for all things New World. We are, of course, excited to bring a show to you tonight. We had to cut our pre show almost in its entirety. Our bad. But we are happy to bring you guys a show tonight. I'm going to. Did I forget to put this on?
Hmm? Ah, yes.
To put on the full, just in case people were wondering what game we're covering. Uh, so,
Like it's not
uh,
always obvious.
exactly. Uh, for those that don't know, our channel has existed for almost 3 years. On December 9th, we're going to be having a special show. We announced this on the Discord, but I would highly recommend people set it in their calendars because we're going to be doing various giveaways of sorts.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, So it should be a great opportunity. Of course, it's a celebration for our stream of 3 years making New World content, um, and we'll see what other special surprises we might have for that night. So December 9th, remember the time. We're going to start basically talking about it every week from here until then. Um,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to be a good time. So for those that are new, I know we've got a ton of new people because the viewer count is through the roof. Um, if you guys are new to the channel, please hit the follow button, join the discussion. This is a talk show type environment where you're going to basically hear from us. We're going to chat with you guys. We're going to talk about the comings and goings of the game and all of that, and all of the news surrounding the game. Uh, for the also because it's been a while, so people know who we are. I am Commander A's. Those that name might ring a bell because I'm one of the moderators over on R-New World Game. Uh, Excited to have that opportunity, and excited to see some new life coming into the sub, and of course, new life coming into the game. I've been in the New World community for about 5 years, since very early Alpha One, and have somewhere in the ballpark of we'll call it 3,000 to 4,000 hours, somewhere in there. Um, so if anybody ever says you can't play this game for a long time, yeah, apparently you can play it way more and way longer than it's even been out. So, so with
Who
that,
knew?
I'm joined by McLeod. McLeod, go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hello. My name's McLeod. I mean, it's been ages since we've actually done intros.
Yeah,
Like
it
I've kind
has.
of, yeah. Like I've, I've been playing the game pretty much not quite as long as A's. A's pretty much introduced me to the game as such. So, but I joined, you know, fairly early on as well. Been playing FPS games, been playing sort of large scale MMOs as well. Um, and yeah, um, and commenting about games, game culture, like the games industry, that kind of thing. In various different forms as well. So, like, not just on here, but on other sort of other talk shows. I'm part of some other talk shows in some other communities as well. Yeah, generally just enjoy games, gaming, the kind of like the whole menagerie, essentially.
Absolutely. So, um, got some other kind of top line type things we do want to mention. We are being syndicated live on nwdb.info, your source for all things about the New World database. So if you're interested in what items drop from what characters, so if you're looking for
Well,
that
and
special drop to finish out your best in slot setup, and you're just you can't quite figure out what enemy drops it, that's where to look it up.
mhm.
They've also got a whole bunch of other things, including a very awesome map. So go check that out. That is, of course, nwdb.info. Um, we also thank them for hosting us on the website as well. So with
Yeah.
that, we have kind of an action-packed show because I don't know if people noticed, but something happened with New World.
Yeah, well, there was a few things that may have happened that,
Yeah,
people may have noticed.
and it's been other than that, it's been a very quiet week. Like nothing huge to report on, right? Uh,
Like huge, except for one thing, and maybe some subsequent things that are related to that one thing,
mhm.
maybe.
So let's talk about the big thing first. Are the probably the biggest thing, are the people that are the thing that chat probably cares about the most. Make sure to hit exclamation point drops to make sure that Twitch has you in the chat so that they start the counter for the 4 hour timer that's required in order for you guys to get the Twitch drop for the game. Mac, could be a little
I'll
bit
adjust
louder
my mic
still.
so I'm a little. I can adjust my mic so I'm a little
Nope,
closer to my
nope, nope.
mic.
Do it
That'd be
on
good.
mine. Nope, I got to do it on mine.
Oh Christ! Okay.
Nope. I got the. It's just juggling a few things because I turned you down earlier, and uh,
Okay.
so if you're in chat and you want to make sure you get that drop, exclamation point drop. Basically it helps Twitch register that you're starting watching something. Otherwise it can take anywhere from like a minute to 10 minutes to actually register that you're watching a stream. Um, if you've ever noticed the like counter of people talking below stream, that's one of the reasons that that's a thing, and why it's never consistent. Or if you've ever run a Twitch stream, the live counter on the actual page that you're watching it on, and the live counter on the dashboard for the stream is actually a very different number. Why that's the
Yes,
case,
and
nobody knows. Maybe Twitch will eventually figure out how to make those the same. But yeah,
you never know. Maybe.
yeah. So with that, I want to thank everybody for coming. The big story is of course now drops, but free skins. That's the other big one, right? We got Roman Legionnaire skins, which is pretty baller. I've personally been asking for that for 3 years. I know that for those that don't know, the game came out a year ago, so like I've been pestering them about that for so long it's not even funny. And the fact that they gave everyone
Yes.
in the game a free one is really quite comical, and I appreciate that greatly. It fits well with the Brimstone Sands launch, which is of course the biggest news for this week and the reason the game's population has blown through the roof.
Kind of exploded. Yeah.
And for those
Which
that
is
don't
pretty good.
know, it is of course Wednesday. And being that it's Wednesday, people don't generally take off a ton of time for these releases. There would be some, of course, that did take the week off and stuff to play the new release.
Yeah.
But when we hit this weekend, if you think the queue is bad now, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, it is going to be bonkers.
Yeah. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is always the days of the week that that you get the highest concurrent uh player numbers as such. So I mean, even though that there's this hype that that always generally tends to occur when you get a new release, right? Like the first couple of days, um, you're still going to get like a crazy weekend that week. So expect it.
So, Brimstone Sands. Let's talk about what Brimstone Sands is. Brimstone Sands
Yes.
is basically the equivalent of three regions dropping and three regions in a trench coat, pretending to be one.
Yes.
It is a massive area. Like people's first comment when we had him in the Discord earlier was oh wow, they added there's so many more fast travel points in Brimstone Sands, like you should be able to get around super easy. Well, they completely underestimate the size of Brimstone Sands. You spend a
Yeah.
lot of time running between all of those points.
I
uh
mean, yeah. If you say, for example, look at the size of Brimstone Sands and in like any of the sort of outer game maps and stuff, or even if you're in game, like just look at the size of Brimstone Sands in the map. Like it is basically almost the size of Shattered Mountain, Great Cleave, and Eden Grove put together. Like it's not quite, but it's very close to that kind of same size, which is like Yeah, you are. As I said, it's literally like three regions in a trench coat, all in one.
Yep. So for reference, Brimstone Sands is basically all of this as one region.
Mm-hmm.
And that is about the same size as Shattered Mountain, Great Cleave, and most of Eden Grove.
Yeah.
So huge amount of stuff to do in there. There is of course a ton of new quests and new stuff to do there, which is just epic. Um, you gotta love to see that kind of stuff happen. It is just. This also came with a new expedition, the Ennead, which you go against.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but you do go against the Roman commander of the 19th Legion, which unironically, McLeod and I managed to get the 19th Legion as a company name. Uh, so
Yes.
if you're interested in
Nice.
joining us on the Frislandia server, we did move from Valhalla, to dodge the queues. As I would highly suggest anybody who is on a server that has massive queues, if you've been around since launch, especially, your friends should have 1 to 2 transfers that are free that they handed out, or you can buy transfers. Log in during right before you go to work or something. Like get on early in the morning when there's no queue. Do a transfer then, and then you don't have to deal with the queue. Like we have been playing Brimstone Sands the entire time. We moved a day early, moved a few people over. We actually just had somebody move over today. And, they sat in queue for a little bit, but they made the move. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's worth making that move. That
Yes, it
said,
definitely is.
if you're gonna come join us, hop on the Discord and ask us what the server's market needs, because it is a very new server, and there's a bunch of new players doing stuff. So there's a lot of opportunity to make money, and we're more than willing, because we would like to see some of these things price drop at some point. So
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, this is true.
Um, so
So
there's
the
no
new
new servers
servers.
there's no fresh
No.
start servers yet. That's going to be November 2nd.
Yeah.
Those would be the fresh start servers that will not allow for character transfers, which means everything will be brand new to those servers, and it's going to kind of like relaunch or relive launch day type vibe, where everybody's going to be kind of rushing to earn 100,000 to buy a territory. So
Yeah.
so yeah, you know,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Hey, it's going to be a good time with the fresh start servers. Like I know McLeod and I are planning on playing on the fresh start servers as well. Even though we have our fully leveled characters, we're not going to delete our fully leveled characters, because it's just moving, or just another server that we'll start another character on. They're
No, but
also,
like the.
on that topic, they are giving you a third character slot to use in
Mm-hmm.
case you want to go over to fresh start servers. So
Yeah.
you know you do not have to delete your old character. So remember that. Like, you can continue to play your old one and start a new one, and it's just on a different server. So yeah,
Nice. Yeah.
I suppose I can start reading the patch notes from here, or not
We can
reading the
go
patch
into
notes, but
it.
I can start actually reading our show notes instead of ad libbing this. Uh, so of course, Brimstone Sands being the absolute highlight here. There is a ton to do. There are a ton of quests. They are incredibly valuable. Right now, they are dropping legendary gear like mad as rewards for completing these quests. Basically, every piece of gear has a legendary drop at some point, and they're dropping gypsum, they're dropping orbs, they're dropping all kinds of stuff. Hey, thanks for the sub. It is
Yeah.
much appreciated. I am also seeing all these follows, guys. It is great to see the activity, and people coming back. We always love to see it, and are excited to continue to provide the show for you guys. So,
Yep. Yep.
uh,
But yeah, as I said, like it is chock a block full of content, chock a block full of like really good drops. People are kind of like to the point where some people are literally kind of like questioning as to whether these drops are legit. Like we'll get into some of that a little later on when we kind of talk about like some of the issues that always results in a massive content drop in a game, like a massive expansion kind of thing. So we'll get to that. But at this point in time, yeah, Brimstone Sands is well worth it.
Absolutely. I would highly recommend, if you can pair up with somebody, running it even as a group of two. They're all like 60 plus leveled enemies, so like,
Yeah,
you know, uh, especially if you're going against a bunch of archers, that can be kind of a pain. So like getting a partner to work with has shown to be probably the most optimal way of doing it. If you can be running the same quests at the same time, that's been my challenges. We're often running different quests, um, but yeah,
it's the same kind of issue, that's always been the case when you have like individual side questings and all that kind of stuff is, where everybody is in terms of questing and whether you can run the same quest at the same time. Like, um, but I
absolutely.
think probably one of the more aggravating, maybe not aggravating, kind of like the more challenging kind of things to get your head around in Brimstone Sands is the acid.
Oh God, the change. So the changeover for those that don't know, here's how like corruption pots and blight pots work. Uh, when you use them, you gain basically like not super invulnerability to them, but your like resistances go through the roof, and that ticker that goes down much slower. Um, and then you take
Yeah,
damage at the end of that, or you get blighted at the end of that, which like
yeah,
getting blighted is painful because all of your healing stops working, and or becomes really really inefficient, and you need to get rid of that blight in order to survive. Well, uh, when you use a blight potion, it wipes the blight and gives you a high resist. Well, that's not how acid potions work. Acid potions is basically like a chemical wash, and then you can
yeah.
instantly get recovered in acid.
Yeah,
So
think
like,
of it as like you're using like a strong alkali to neutralize the acid that you have on you. But if you like straight away jump into acid again, like you're still gonna get an acid burn, right? Like,
yes,
and it's like if you're in acid and you're pouring alkali on yourself, and you're like, this isn't really working, kind of thing. Like, yeah, there's a reason for that. It's a there's a bit of logic to it, but like I think when it comes to sort of like the mechanics of it in game, like people assume that it's going to be working the same way that other things have worked in the game. So when it doesn't, it's like, wait a second, what's going on here? Like, why am I dead? Like, so
absolutely, absolutely. So that is another huge change, like that mechanic wise. Like, it's not really a change because acid wasn't a thing prior to Brimstone Sands. If you run into it, you'll quickly identify what's happening. You got to be near like the sulfur pools and stuff like that. But if you don't know, sulfur is very acidic. So now you know a little bit of science facts here.
mhm.
If you see something that doesn't look like it looks kind of like water, but also looks like anything in it would probably die, yeah, that's probably acid.
Yep.
Uh, so with that, that's another really good thing. Another really cool thing that launched with this patch is a revamped starting experience. So we've talked about
Yes.
this in extent on prior shows, but this revamped starting experience is like the holy grail of listening to your players' feedback.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
let's go back to launch for a second and talk about the feedback that they heard. Uh, there's a lot of running around. You felt like you were running up and down all the way to the top of Everfall and back all the way to the middle part or lower part of Windsward just to turn in quests, and then run all the way back and forth and back and forth. It was kind of silly. Well, instead, they've now made it much more linear, which is, you're when you go to a place, you're probably going to end up ending the quest in that place. There's very little travel back, or if it's not too far, they might have you travel back, but the quest generally pops you around in a nice pattern. So if you pick up the surrounding quests, they also complement that pattern. So,
Yeah.
if you run to a place and there's 3 people giving a quest, accept all 3 quests. Then you can turn around and they'll probably all bring you in a nice little loop. And on top of that, they're probably going to be close to a shrine, as Chad said. You know, it's a there's a lot more shrines in the game now for fast travel. So being able to
Oh, a
kind of
hell of a
bounce
lot.
to and from things, or like
Yeah.
some of the
Yeah.
turn-ins for the quests are right at shrines by design.
Mm-hmm.
Utilizing your houses if you have them, and utilizing your inn is going to be really big. Like that's going to save you a lot of time because you can fast travel to your inn and then fast travel from the settlement to any of the Azoth shrines. So
Yeah. And
it's a
if
nice
if
quick
any
way
of
of bouncing
you
around.
Yeah, and if any of you who haven't played like since like January, February, like there's the cooldown on things like the inn have been like vastly reduced, and the cost in Azoth to fast travel is basically it's basically almost free
Mhm.
comparatively to like the start of the year. It's crazy.
Absolutely. Um, so that's another big one. They've added variety in quests. So it's no longer go here, kill, or not all of the quests. When it launched, almost all of the quests were go here, kill 6 to 10 guys of this type. There's still
Yeah,
some of that, but now there's okay, go collect these, go grab, go destroy cannons, go, blow up gunpowder barrels, go knock cargo off of docks. So there's a ton of really cool stuff like that being added. There's also wave events. There's also, just a bunch of like really cool kind of like different ones. They've added a good amount of like uh, parkour challenges as well. Look for those that are kind of curious on that. There's some funny stuff happening in Brimstone Sands related to that, where people went the wrong
yes,
way on something and have been furious to the point of quitting because they're like, I don't understand how this is supposed to work. And then they find out that if they took a right instead of a left, that it was really simple to get where they were supposed to go. I
yeah,
digress. In the new player experience, oftentimes these jumping puzzles are going to be pretty obvious because there's like white scratch marks basically on the stone that you're going to need to climb. So it's pretty apparent where you need to go and how you need to get there.
yeah,
Sometimes you might not think you can make that jump, but you can. Um, you know, so give it a go. It's totally worth it. Um, you know,
yeah, yeah.
it's definitely white, that's for sure. So from there, they've optimized the quest flow. They've added new quest dynamics. They've streamlined the story. They've added cutscenes because, like, when the game launched, there were no cutscenes other than like the intro, like "Welcome to the game," like Father Rousseau talking, and then like nothing.
Yeah, there were
So
a
now there's
few
a
kind
ton.
of Yeah, there were a few sort of cutscenes here and there in like expeditions, for example, but like
Yes. Yep.
they've added so much more.
Yep. Basically, they heard that feedback and they went, "Okay, hey, we really didn't tell this in the best way possible. We should be
Yeah,
we should be trying to make this a more immersive story because
and
oftentimes you
that's
could make it to level 60 and really not
yeah.
know what was going on other than like I washed up on shore and like people can't
I went
die.
and did stuff. Yeah, I
Yeah.
I washed up on shore and
Yeah.
then I went and did stuff, and it's kind of like, but the you really feel the kind of difference in this new sort of this new starting experience because like it pulls you into the storyline like straight away, which is like vastly
Absolutely.
better.
Absolutely. And thank you guys for the
Yeah.
follows. I do want to again mention that drops are live. If you hit exclamation point drops in chat, it'll help Twitch identify that you are actually here. The reason I say to do this again, as I've said before, is that uh, it help basically Twitch is not great at actually determine when you actually enter a channel. So when you interact with that channel, it starts the timer. It's a 4 hour timer. You got to watch 4 hours worth of New World content to get the drop, but it
Hmm.
doesn't care if it's the thing on top. So like, one of the things we'll say is that, hey, we are a talk show. If you want to engage with us in the chat, please do. But if you want to put it in the background and run New World front and center and play the expansion and do your thing, we're
Go
not
for it.
we're not your mother. Like, go for it.
Yeah, go
You
for it.
know, but at least check in for that drop, because like that is actually kind of important. Um, so yeah,
Yeah. I mean,
and we are seeing all
so
these follows, so thank you guys.
yeah, for sure. So they've
Yep,
also changed a bunch of stuff actually in zones that that aren't
running an ad.
Brimstone Sands.
Oh, apparently there's an ad in progress.
These things happen.
Yeah, like I don't have
But
control
yeah,
on that. It's
but
just
there's
like
been
on a timer.
improvements. Yeah, there's been so Everfall and Monarch's Bluff have seen improvements, and I think if you've played the game previously and you go back to Everfall, go back to Monarch's Bluff, you will see those changes. They're very apparent and they're really quite cool.
Oh, yeah. The change for the change, we didn't really cover anything during that ad break. Apologies. Like, we don't actually have control over that. Um, that's Twitch for you. They got to make their money. Um, yeah.
I just wish we just
Gotta
wish
I've
that
got to
they
turn
would
down
find
to the
a
least invasive ads could possibly be, but
yeah, yeah,
Twitch and us see that very differently, and they want to push as many as they can. I'm not pushing the button, I promise.
yeah,
I have a button to push, but like, I'm not going to do it in the middle of talking about anything actually important. Like, nor would
yeah.
I don't,
Like
actually, I don't even remember to push it like at the end of the show or anything. Like, I'm terrible about that button. Uh,
yeah. I mean,
Anyways, I digress.
we'll
One
get
of
there.
the
Yeah.
other really cool events that is happening right now is the Night Vale Hollow event. Thanks for the
Oh
sub.
God. Cheers,
Yeah,
buddy.
the Night Vale Hollow
Um.
event. This is very controversial.
Yeah.
And here's why. The event itself is going against a level 65 boss. There are level 35 minions that spawn, with some level 60 minions that also spawn. The
Yes.
challenge here. Oh, hey, we got a possible
Nice.
hype train here.
Yeah, hey.
Haven't seen one of those in a long time. Um,
Nice.
so
Nice to
how
see.
so how
Nice to
this
see. Anyway.
event so how this event transpires is that
Yeah.
a group of people descend on the thing, or on the event, and you start killing the smaller pumpkins. They start spawning larger ones, which, if you're a low level character, you can pick up the pumpkin heads and deal way more damage by hitting the bigger pumpkins, or the bigger uh, uh,
Well, yeah.
things.
So basically, you can throw the pumpkin heads at the demon that is like the main boss, right?
Yes,
Called
you can also throw them at
Balfazu.
the like mid-sized
You
one
can, yeah,
and
and
deal a
they will
ton of
actually
damage that
freeze
way.
them.
So like,
They they'll
lower level
they'll
players
they'll
can participate in this. It's going to be
yeah.
really difficult, and you gotta pay close attention. I highly recommend setting up a camp just outside of the zone. It's
Oh,
really
that yeah,
important.
that is an absolute
Yeah.
must. Like
We
setting up a
actually we
camp,
actually
setting
have
up
been
a
doing
spawn
like
point
camp
there.
trains.
Yeah,
Um, so for those that don't know, your camp has a timer on it when you respawn there. So you can't just infinitely respawn at your camp with like, if you die repetitively very quickly. So
yeah,
what you do for this event is have people kind of build like a wall of camps next to the event, so that when they die, they move to the next camp down, set that as their new camp, and the timer is reset.
yeah.
Um, Really strange mechanic, but it works.
I mean,
Anyways,
it's a mechanic
yeah,
for a reason, and that reason is PvP, and like that's an understandable thing because you can't just have people respawning super quickly all the time.
yep,
But like when it comes to this, yeah, you have to sort of find ways of working around it to some degree. But yeah, like make sure that you have a spawn point that you can spawn quickly back at when doing not the Night Vale Hallow, because you're gonna need it.
yes.
Um,
It is a
and
long
yeah,
fight. It is a very
it
long
is.
fight. So if people say, "Hey, it's still at 90%," you've still got like 6 to 10 minutes to get there.
You know
Like,
what's interesting? What I quite like about it is it kind of introduces the idea of a boss fight with different mechanics to people who may not specifically, experience them or want to experience or feel like they need to experience them or go into expeditions to sort of experience those sort of mechanics, which I think is kind of interesting because it sort of showcases the mechanics to people who may not necessarily experience those mechanics either often or at all, really.
Hmm.
Just kind of cool. And obviously because it's kind of like a world boss event, like you don't necessarily need to be going with like traveling with a group in order to do it. Like if you're near the area and the it's you have a large group kind of like going at this demon Belfazu, um, you can join in if you feel like you want to partake in it. It's not like it's sectioned off and only for a particular group that have got a key or this, that, and the other. So it's a nice open thing that you can experience. Just remember that it is a level 60 boss, and he is powerful, and the minions that he
Yes.
spawns and that he has around him are also pretty kind of powerful as well, especially if they swarm you. So
Yes.
be
Uh,
warned.
Additionally, the more people you have, the faster the site runs. So if
Yeah.
150 people show up to the site, then yeah, it's going to run pretty quick. That said, the
Mm.
only way to stagger the boss is to throw the pumpkin heads at it. Um,
So I think it's not the only way, but like essentially what it is the boss has like an extremely large defense meter, right?
yeah,
And you have to kind of wear that down. The thing is with the pumpkins that like that sort of spawn when you kill the sort of like the low levels that you can pick up and throw, they deal a lot of stamina damage to the main boss, to Belfozu. So they are the best method of getting that defense meter down. And once that defense meter is down, he basically gets stunned, and you can deal a whole bunch of damage to him.
yeah. Um,
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to say that heavy attacks don't work, but from my experience, the pumpkin heads are going to give you the
Way
best
better.
bang for your buck in comparison. Uh,
Yeah.
Basically, like they're like if a heavy attack works, it's gonna do uh maybe 10, 15 stagger to its bar versus if a pumpkin head hits it, you're actually going to see the bar move in a significant way. Um, and
Do
by
the pumpkin
significant, I
heads
mean you're
deal
still going to be
quite a lot?
throwing 100 some pumpkin heads at it, throughout the fight.
Yeah.
So like the
See, I haven't tried this like I haven't seen sort of like the damage that you get if you throw the pumpkin head once he's stunned. Like, is it pretty significant, or is it just
so you
like
can still you can
you
still deal
worthwhile?
damage to him with the pumpkin heads when he's down. However, when he's in
Okay.
the downed state, he takes or he takes a negative multiplier for his damage. So you deal a substantial amount more damage to him. So like I was
Mm.
dealing like 20,000 damage per swipe at him when he's in
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
downed stun state. Um, but
I think it's better. Like I think it's better traditional attacks, or at least
um,
using your regular sort of like special weapon attacks and your heart gem abilities would be much more beneficial than throwing those pumpkin heads. But like once he's out of that stun state, once he's out of that down state, like then commence throwing pumpkin
yes,
heads at him again. The other thing as well, which I've noticed, is if you throw those pumpkin heads at the sort of like the lower kind of sized, minions that he has, it stuns them
yes.
like straight
It
away.
stuns them
Like
and will deal more damage, especially if you're a lower level player. It'll deal like 6k damage to them. So,
yeah.
like, if you're a
So
low level player, that's a really good way to participate. You only have to be in there
so
and do a little bit of damage to something to be part of the event and get credit for it. So, like,
yeah.
this is accessible, but like at the same time, get used to the idea of stuff's probably going to kill you every once in a while.
Hmm.
Um,
I would say though, like prioritize those pumpkin heads to
yes,
basically knock the Balthasu like to the to a down state. Like once he's at that down state, like feel free to throw those pumpkins at like the other kind of things, or if it's an emergency situation where you have to like prevent somebody from getting swarmed or that kind of thing by throwing a pumpkin head at some of the lower states. Like, yeah, fair enough. Like, but prioritize the main boss guy, the Balthazar dude. So because ultimately, if he goes, everybody gets the reward, and the site gets cleared. So
I don't actually know how to turn on subtitles. I see it in chat. I see the
subtitles.
demand. I don't actually know how to turn that on.
I don't. There's not actual subtitles, like, because it's subtitles. Live subtitles would be ridiculous. Like subtitles in a VOD is a different thing entirely. But live is kind of not really possible, as far as I know. It could be possible. I'm not sure, but like as far as I know, it's not possible. Or do you mean specifically in game? If specifically in game, I think
I
it's
think he's
like,
talking about the stream here. Check
I'm
out
not sure.
that. I think it's got to be the subtitles have to be enabled on your end. I don't think that's the thing that we do.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not entirely certain. But yeah, the world boss event, the Night Vale Hollow, is great. It's actually really impressive. Like the funny thing is, I went in to try and do it solo because I was there thinking to myself like, oh, it's a Halloween event, like you could probably solo it, etc., etc. Went in, was just absolutely destroyed. It's like, okay, this is quite challenging.
This might also be a solution in chat for that. Um,
There we go.
yeah, it's an add-on for that. So, anyways,
Oh, okay, okay.
um, we might look into that for future shows. I don't obviously, like, I don't know how to set it up at the moment. That said, the show is transferred over to YouTube, and I know YouTube does a hell of a lot better with their captioning service than anybody else, or than Twitch does.
The
Um,
crazy thing with the YouTube captioning service is, so long as the caption is captured correctly, it'll also be you can also have it auto translate
oh
to
yeah,
different languages, which is great.
yeah, awesome. Glad we can help. As somebody who uh, works adjacent to the disability integration field, I can tell you, I appreciate the ask there.
Hmm.
That's something we should actually look into as well, just to make sure that we're doing everything right on our end. Uh,
Yeah, yeah,
so yeah,
that's.
continuing from here,
Hmm.
one of the big things that is, of course, an ask from the developers is making sure players are reporting exploits early. There is a new process for
Yes.
reporting exploits. I want to thank Alonge for reporting this on our Discord. And I'm gonna show this on stream here. Uh, Lux went on the forums, and basically, if you can find an exploit or think that you have found one and want to report it, in an email to newworldexploits@amazon.com, you can use the template that they list. I'm also going to link this, in case people want to copy the format and that. Uh, you
Yep.
know, basically, you can report exploits and issues to that. Remember, this is exploits. It's not going to be ban appeals or anything like that. Those kind of things are going to get tossed. Your ban appeals go through a completely different process. So
Yep.
make sure to abide by that process. Um,
Hmm. All
yeah,
right, got that. It's all good.
yep.
But yeah, like the idea with this is the fact that, like, certain exploits, you don't want to showcase to the entire world, because showcasing to the entire world basically means that everybody now knows, the reproduction steps, which doesn't really solve anything. If anything, it just allows everybody else the opportunity to go in and exploit the game just as much. Well, I mean, it essentially causes a lot more damage to the
Yes.
game than if you were to report it to the development team privately. And this is a method for you to report it privately. And so, essentially, if there's ever a scenario where you think, oh yeah, I think I found something, an issue with the game where, people could definitely take this bug and abuse it and cause a lot of damage, or cause a lot of have an unfair advantage to anybody who doesn't know the sort of esoteric way of like creating, of causing this bug to occur, then that is exactly the kind of thing that you need to sort of send an email to this particular uh, email address to, um, and highly recommend you do that.
Yep. Um,
And
Sorry, just double
as
checking.
noted in the thing, actually, if you're recording a video to showcase like the reproduction steps for that, and you're putting it on like say YouTube, whatever, make sure that you set it unlisted so people can't find it by searching Google, for example, or searching searching YouTube, searching whatever, right? Um, yeah, definitely do not publish it. Keep the video unlisted. Um, or even better, keep it private, and then you know um give them the add ask them if you could add them to that video. But as such, in the actual wordage of the dev blog, they recommend that you keep it unlisted.
Yes.
But yeah.
Um, I'm going to insert something here because we actually have a subtle amount of breaking news.
Oh.
Um,
Oh, okay.
there will be a downtime tonight.
Oh.
Tonight at 2 a.m. Eastern Time. For 3 hours, this patch will reactivate hidden stashes so players can harvest them for diamond gypsum. So that's a solid win. That was unfortunately bugged during the release, but they fixed that. Um, they are fixing an issue with T5 legendary crafted bags and tools where the 600 gear score perk was not applied if crafting mod was used in the recipe. Um, so that's there's supposed to be a specific mod that gets applied, and it's not when it hits 600. It's rolling a random one instead, which is very frustrating. Uh, so
Yep.
with that,
Yep.
that's another good fix. They'll be following up with compensation for affected crafts in the near future. So basically, if you got a 600 gear score thing, probably gonna either replace it or fix it for you. That'll be like a database fix thing. The following quests will be re-enabled: Sandwalkers, Roar of the Manticore, and the Queen's Brood Elite. Those are going to be re-enabled. The drops are going to work the way they're supposed to. People aren't going to have to queue to kill the Manticore. Um, you know, thank you everybody for participating in the very British queue of
I appreciated that, by the way. It's like that showed a lot of a lot of respect to Britain and our queuing culture.
It was very reminiscent of early World of Warcraft where people had to queue for quests. Uh, you know, kind of comical. I enjoyed watching that. That was that didn't happen on our server because our server still has a lot of extra space on it. For those that are
Yep.
looking for a server to move to, Frislandia on US East still has plenty of room. I do want to take a
Mm-hmm.
moment here and talk. There's a little bit more on this that I can cover, but no, that was the extent of it. That's the end of the notes for that. That's the patches coming tonight. Anyways, let's talk
Yes.
about what's going to happen when you log in for the first time. And let's say you're just coming back. You were playing in you left in February, and you're like, is now the time to come back? Yes. Here's why. You actually, if you haven't played since February, you are in a very special situation where you can dodge the queues without having to log in.
Yeah.
Basically, how they did this is that anybody that played, uh, stopped playing before, or basically right as they gave out the second free server transfer token, they put you all into a uh, holding pattern. So when you log back in, you're going to get to select a server of the unlocked servers. There are servers that are no longer accepting new people. and no longer accepting transfers. So there is a limit to that, but it encourages people to spread out. This may cause some problems, i.e., I want to play with my friends, they're on this server, but it's locked. Convince them to move over to another server. Trust me, if the server's locked, it's locked for a damn good reason.
Yeah.
And it's because when it
And
hits Q or when it hits peak, there's going to be a shitload of people on it. So, good example of this. I'm gonna pull up our favorite newworlddatabase.com, nwdb.info. Um, and these are the current server statuses. You can see player counts over the course of the last day and how many people are in queue. So, for instance, on US East, we used to play on Valhalla. If we wanted to play on Valhalla, we would be, if we ended the show right now and we went to play on Valhalla, it would take us about 3 hours to actually get into the server.
yeah.
Or, as we figured out the day before, we moved over to Frislandia that still has 2,000 open slots in at this point in time. So 2,000 concurrent slots. So like there are 8,000 concurrent slots. Sorry, not 2,000, but you get what I'm saying. Basically, if you pick the right server, you're not going to have to deal with queues. Our server is still accepting people. You can start new characters. You can transfer to it. Simply put, it's a great place to be. Feel free to join us there, and have some fun. So I wanted to showcase this. If you are interested in checking this, please check the link in chat there. It's a really good way to say, okay, hey, what server is actually going to be a good fit for me and my friends? Let's coordinate. Let's all move together and be in the same spot. Again, for those that think, oh, it's okay, I'll just wait out the queue. That's a choice that you're going to make. Like you do you.
Yeah. You do you.
But just know that queues are going to get a lot worse on the weekend.
Yeah. Like I mean, queue times in the highest pops at the moment are multiple hours.
Yeah.
So understand that. And
now,
in a situation where you can coordinate with some friends to play on a different server, and you have that option, as AZ sort of showcased earlier, that you can literally just from the initial screen there just go hop to another world straight away without having to queue to get into that world and then use a server transfer. Like, it is 1,000 times better.
Absolutely. So make sure to check that out. It is actually really important, to make sure you pick wisely. If you don't want to sit in queue, one thing you could do, let's say you're going to transfer and you don't want to sit in queue tonight for 3 hours just to transfer. Log in tomorrow before you go to work, before you go to school, whatever your situation is, when it's not peak time for the US, because you can see like during the day, even these peak servers have open slots, or open concurrent space. So like you can log in early in the morning, like you can log in at 7 a.m. and there's only 700 people online.
Exactly.
And do your transfer then when there's no queue, and then you transfer to a server like Frislandia and log in whenever you want because there's no queue right now. And there hasn't been because it's a new server and it's all new characters and some transfers. So like just make sure to consider those things when you're actually setting up your transfers, and you'll do well. Like that's gonna save you a lot of time, a lot of struggle. And I think at this point, people need to understand that there's only 2,500 slots on these servers for concurrent players. So, like, if you're playing on a server that's pretty consistently got more than that, you either A, have to get used to that being a thing, or B, transfer to one that doesn't. It's the same game. Like, same game, different server. The market might be a little screwy in some ways, but like, that's just opportunity knocking. So, we'd also like to remind everyone where there's a big expansion, a fair number of bugs and unintended issues arise. AGS does have a known issues thread. I'm going to link this in chat. This is important to note. they do know that there are some bugs. As with anything, there is always going to be bugs. You know, like it is what it is. Like anybody who's ever played Eve Online, the game's 20 years old and it still has bugs. You know,
It's
uh,
a game that is in constant sort of state of being worked on, always in introduces new bugs, breaks old things, repairs things that were broken. It's a constant state. Like this is just a constant state in a game that is constantly being worked on. As I says, like they have a known issues thread for this expansion, for this patch. They've always had known issues threads for
yes,
expansions and for patches and that kind of thing. This isn't a new thing. This isn't some like if you open up the known issues thread and you see like a huge long list, like one. If you take a moment to actually like genuinely look through that list, there is a lot of things on that list that are extremely particular. And so when you look at this list, don't look at it and be like blown away going, "Oh my god, this game must be so broken for all of this stuff to still be in it, to be issues." One, the game is huge. Two, there's a lot of things to do in the game, and three, there's a lot of very particular things that can be broken in very particular ways. And four, there's even some stuff in there that aren't broken, but have been reported by players sort of in error in some way, shape, or form. Like it broke for them, but it didn't break for, or something happened to them that hasn't happened to 90% of people, and they still take those and they still add those to the known lists because it's been experienced by somebody, maybe not by everybody, but like if somebody else has experienced it, then at least you can see it and be like, okay, like this is something that AGS knows has happened. And this rolls into something else as well, which is you know there may be workarounds for various different issues, but like when it comes to experiencing a problem in the game or a bug of some form, like don't just think, oh, chances are somebody's already experienced it and have posted up the bug. Like even if that's the case, it's best to grab a little bit of information, grab a video of it or something of that form, and post it as well. Like post your experience of that bug, because chances are the more times that AGS can see that bug happening, or have instances of this bug occurring to a certain person at a certain time, um, on a certain server, then the more information that they have on where this bug occurred, why this bug may have occurred, and the faster they're able to find the bug and like deal with it. So more information is always better.
yes. And naturally, like if you get stuck somewhere, there is the unstuck command. If you hit escape,
Yes.
go to menu, and there's an unstuck option. Or if you type in chat /unstuck, it'll start the process of hopefully unsticking you. Brings you back to the last point that it appears that you could physically move around, but you know,
I always thought it was
if you do it too late, it will mess with you and it will leave you in the same
yeah.
spot.
There-
So
There's there's a there's a sort of like a time factor to it. So the sooner that you can type in unstuck or use the unstuck command, the more likely that you're going to get out of that thing. But
yes,
if you're say for example if you're stuck like behind some uh some like a rock, if you've accidentally phased into a rock, like a rock face or something like that, like struggling to get out of that rock space for a half hour and then using the unstuck command probably won't get you out of it. But if you accidentally phase into it, or end up inside of a rock face, using it very quickly, using the unstuck command very quickly, will probably get you out of it. So just so you guys know.
yes. So great. Basically, there's some solid opportunity to try out new stuff. in case there is a bug or in case there is some instance where it drops you below the
Yeah.
map,
Yeah.
which has happened recently. Like somebody fell through on ironically the depths and just kept falling and eventually hit the base layer on the map, which
There's
does
a degree of
exist.
irony.
You know,
There is a
yeah, there
degree
is
of
a degree
irony
of
there,
irony
though.
in that one. Yeah.
Like that's great.
So like that can happen. Like sometimes it's you just happen to step into a spot in a corner at just the right angle, and things calculated the way they did, and that was that.
Hmm.
Like
Yeah, yeah.
and if you think about how many corners there are in the game, of any variety of different meshes that they have,
How many
it's
tight
easier
spaces
said
there
than
are in
done.
this game? Like,
Uh,
yeah. And how many different abilities that could potentially, run you through, like, or find the tiniest little kind of area that pushes you through into an area that like you don't want to be, or that the developers don't want you to go into. Um, you know, yeah, there's a lot of scenarios and situations where this could happen.
Absolutely.
Especially considering the size of the game and the complexity of the game. Yeah, but shall we? I mean, even though there's a patch coming out, like later on tonight, addressing some of them, or
Actually, it addresses all of the major ones we
it
identified here.
addresses most of them. Most,
The
yeah, pretty
hostile
much most of them.
NPCs, the putrid egg clutch,
Yeah, yeah,
herdmaster,
yeah.
manticore.
Yeah.
Specifically the three quests: Roar, the Manticore, Sandwalkers, and the Queen's Brood. All
Mm-hmm.
of those will be fixed
Yeah.
tonight in the patch tonight. It's coming at
Yeah.
about 2 a.m. Eastern time.
Yeah, yeah.
So
So
that'll be
yeah. So
good.
if you guys have experienced issues with with gathering tools and bags, like crafting that kind of stuff, the name stuff, with the final perk for gear score 600 bags, like name bags, like that'll be fixed, which is great. Um, the diamond gypsum stuff, like I know that I was a little bit confused as to like where the diamond gypsum stuff is, because like typically you tend to have like the diamond gypsum stuff like appearing in bags that you collect when you're doing gathering, but normally when there is a like an event going on, right, like a particular event for a particular season, like the diamond gypsum stuff generally tends to get like rolled into that. So I found it a little bit confusing when actually doing the what you call it, uh, the Night Vale Hallow, right? When doing that
Yes.
event, I was like, I'm not getting gypsum out of this. I'm not getting diamond gypsum out of this. So where is it? They obviously know it's going to be fixed. Um, in this coming patch, which is great.
Yep.
There's also some group healing stuff. Like, hang on, was group healing addressed? Or not group healing, but like group sort of hotkey specifically healing. I don't think that was addressed.
I don't think that was
Let
addressed
me
yet.
double check.
Uh, Not exactly
No.
sure. The Azoth T5 staff, you may need to look for it in your journal and reset the quest. Otherwise, it may just
Mm.
show up as a marker to as a quest to go grab the quest from an NPC. Should
Yeah.
show up with a
That is
special icon over it.
that is one of the other ones that like has been known to be an issue. The Tier 5 Azoth staff quest being not available for certain people. But as it says, there are potential workarounds for certain things like this. One of those being, as I said, you can potentially reset that kind of quest, and that could at times resolve the issue. But AGS do understand that there is an issue with that particular quest at the moment for at least for a certain number of people. There is some housing issues at Everfall regarding decorations and placed items and stuff. Mainly that's down to the fact that Everfall, as well as Monarch's Bluff, has gone through a bit of a renovation, right?
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And because of that, some of the houses have changed shape and changed sizes a little bit, and in doing so, the sort of like places and locations and where you put certain stuff and where you now can put certain stuff, maybe not quite correct. Although that's going to be addressed in a patch most likely at a later date.
Yes.
Yep.
Um, so it's great that they're like, they're actually moving pretty quick on some of these changes. Obviously, like their interest and our interest align as players and developers, that they want the game to be in as playable state as possible. Um, you know, uh, it's
Hmm.
nice that they're able to get these kind of fixes this early. Um, Props to them on that. Like, I mean, there's nothing better. Like, it's been what, 2 days, 3 days, 2 days, and they've already
It
got a
is.
patch, to fix like the biggest issues. Sure, there's going to be
Mm,
ones that are, that aren't fixed with this patch, but like, you know, the majority of people are going to continue to play and not have any issues. Um,
yeah.
so yeah, I think that's an absolute win. Um,
Hmm.
as we stated, yeah, because this keeps coming up in chat. If you're looking for a server to transfer to, check out nwdb.info-server minus status. We put it in the chat there. It's a great resource to identify servers that have open space, so you can see which servers are
Oh
locked, which
yeah.
ones aren't, and be able to identify where you can move to, or start a new character on, um, with
It also
with
has
ease.
yeah. It also has a chart as well of the last 24 hours of activity, so you can see when the server is maxed out in terms of people who are online and when it's not, and that's a very specific thing. Because then, if you are having issues with like always like smashing your head up against like a the server queue brick wall, right? You can kind of look back at that server queue or the the server population sort of graph and be like, okay, well the server's not like super busy, super like strained in terms of population at these particular times. I can jump in there and just get in there super quick, especially if all you're trying to do is actually just like uh, transfer off that server to a different server. That is a great resource of being able to like figure out that's when I can log in and I won't have any queue and I can literally just go in and then transfer off, you know? And
Absolutely.
so, in that kind of sense, that kind of information is amazing. And I would like to thank nwdb.info for providing that for the community.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So yeah, the queues can be pretty painful. I like, if you're experiencing them now, plan ahead, because this weekend is going to be really bad. Like,
Mm,
tons of people are going to be coming. They're like, expect queues to be just atrocious for the weekend. And they're like, queues are going to happen on these servers all day every day. On some of these servers, but for the most part, even a lot of the servers, like I've got it up on one of my screens here, like even even some of these servers that have massive queues right now, uh, like Valhalla has 1,400 people in queue. Uh,
mm,
During the middle of the during the early morning, they've got 900 people online, so they've got almost the ability for 2,000 more people online. So
yeah.
you know consider like, before wake up a little early before you go to work or something, you know uh log in then, uh and use that opportunity to transfer off to avoid the queues, because they're going to continue for a while. uh
Yeah,
and yeah.
for sure. The issue that like it so the one issue that like I think is the kind of annoying one is the one where you have a situation where you want to get onto a server that is locked, and you can't transfer over onto it, and you have friends there that are playing and you want to be enjoying playing with them on the same server. Unfortunately, there is no prior notification as to when servers are going to get unlocked, for new players to trans or for new players to sort of create new characters, or for people to transfer their character onto that. So there's no there's no real way of being able to say exactly when that's going to occur until it occurs as such. You know, we're kind of very much at the mercy of AGS's kind of whims in that regard. So hopefully they get a little bit more transparent and allow people to be able to plan a little bit better. But like, if you're the thing is, like, if it's a small player group, like talking to your friends, talking to the people who you want to play with, and convincing them to sort of transfer over to a server that you can all be a part of, and all play together is the beneficial, is the sort of like the ideal solution. But like, if you're just one player and you're trying to play with your friends, and your friends are in a large group that has like hundreds of people, then that's going to be a lot more difficult. And I really feel for you guys, if you're in that particular situation. You're just, you're going to be kind of at the mercy of AGS and when they want to unlock servers. So, you know, um, good luck on that. But there are other options if if your friend group is small enough, and you can convince them to move to somewhere a little bit better.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario is that you have no server transfers available, and you got to buy one from the shop. They're quite affordable, especially considering most games charge for expansions and New World doesn't. So
Hmm.
like I know some people bought it on sale recently this summer, and wouldn't have those free transfers, but at the same time, maybe they wanna move. If you bought the game for $20, throwing another 5-10 bucks or whatever it costs for a transfer really isn't a huge deal. You know,
Yeah, and you do
uh,
have to get into the server first in order to transfer. But like, yeah, that's just another aspect of it. One of the things
yeah,
actually, and because we're on this subject, I like, I always want to jump on this when we're on this particular subject. But when it comes to server transfers, and especially when it comes to sort of, you know, coordinating a bunch of people to move, I always see it as an opportunity to basically say, AGS, please allow us to like purchase server transfers or gift server transfers to other people, or
yes,
transfer server transfers to other people. Like ideally gifting, like I want to purchase this, but I want to gift it to X person, right? That would be amazing. And to be completely honest, it, uh, as far as I'm concerned, it can be something that is, universal on the actual on the store. Like if I can
mhm,
purchase anything and transfer and gift it to anybody, that'll be fantastic. Especially server transfer tokens.
absolutely. I do want to take a moment and note that there were, when the game launched and prior to launch, there was a bunch of people that were very worried about pay to win becoming prevalent in New World, and that
Yeah.
it was going to be this, the shop was going to be filled with all kinds of terrible things that you know would just be like war crimes
Yeah.
to the gaming
Yeah.
community. AGS has not put any pay to win in the shop
I
at all. Like the only
mean,
thing that they've added since launch to the shop, other than skins, is server transfers, and that was because everybody and their mother wants one. Like,
yeah. Yeah.
so
And
you know,
they've given out tons of server transfers. Like I mean,
yeah,
not maybe not tons to like but in terms of like individuals, if like individual server transfers, like if you collect that all together, that's a lot. That's a lot of server transfer tokens.
mhm,
But yeah, the other thing is, and it's kind of funny looking back at it, and looking back at the doomsayers, and what they
mhm,
were saying about that, like that whole scenario of like, oh, they're going to put a whole bunch of um, pay to win microtransaction stuff into it. Like
mhm.
they were saying,
Pay
what
to
was
win
it?
or
What
pay
was
for
it? They were
convenience,
saying
as Mixed Nuts
pay for
said.
convenience
That's not
stuff.
even in there
Yeah,
either. Like,
it's not. Yeah, that's pay
and like, we can
yeah,
call out some specific names: Kira TV, Asmongold, uh,
yeah.
there,
Oh,
and there were more that jumped on that bandwagon
Josh
of,
Strife Hayes was
Josh
saying
Strive
it as
Hayes. Yep.
well.
You know,
He
that
was
it was gonna,
jumping in on the
let's
hate
ride the
bandwagon.
controversy that New World's gonna go down the shitter because of microtransactions and the big bad
Because they're saying like,
boogeyman.
oh
And
yeah, and like
it's like, no,
oh
that's not a thing.
well,
Hasn't happened in a year. There's no sign that they're going to be adding
yeah.
those things. It would be silly for them to add those things.
And it's just like one of those things where because they're all like reading between the lines of what AGS have been were saying, right? And
Mhm.
AGS were kind of like coming up saying like, oh, we don't envisage adding anything remotely pay to win in any way, shape, or form, within the first year of the game, and like they were literally reading that to basically mean that like they're not going to add any pay to win stuff until January 1st of the
Yeah.
next year, right? And where are we at? We're
Yep.
we're we're mid to late October of that year, and they haven't added any of that in yet at
Mhm.
all. So you know,
Yeah. Now, to be fair, I think Asmongold does deserve some credit for recanting a lot of his statements and recanting a lot of his concerns in the
yeah,
last
that's
like
true. That's
month or
true.
so, because he too has been playing New World recently. Like I don't like there are certain content creators that thrive on the negative. I don't think that
Oh
Asmongold
yeah.
is one of those. Like I think that like he tries to see the trend, and like he's a good dude. Like but he's also a massive creator, and people take his word for gold. And some of the challenge there is that if he's wrong, the game can unfairly gain a reputation for something that it just isn't.
There's also other aspects as well, because like when you get to like large content creators like Asmongold, like giant content creators, like um you almost have like an industry built around that, of people who want to misquote those sorts of people to sell clicks, as like basically almost sell clickbait to you, like clickbait articles to you to read, right? And we know this because we got clickbaited
Oh God.
into being like into basically reacting to it as a controversial sort of thing.
Mhm.
And like yeah, so you want to also know that like a lot of good but large
Mhm.
content creators will get misquoted specifically just for the react like the
Yep.
rage reactionary kind of like like clicks essentially, right?
And
So you
then
have to
those
kind of
hot
watch for
takes
that.
end up on Asmon's stream, like we did.
Yeah, like we did.
you know,
But it's a
our
case of
our intention is not to cause shit with other content creators, if that's
no.
not obvious. But like, we do think that sometimes calling a spade is a thing.
Yeah,
And when
yeah,
people get something wrong, you know, especially there is one that I will continue to pick that bone with, but you know
yeah. There's a few content creators that still,
yeah. I mean,
that weren't
here's the thing. There is
misquoted.
a specific content creator, I will not name them by name because they do not deserve the extra attention, that
Yeah,
poked me with some sort of hatred bullshit on my birthday. Like that guy
yeah,
particularly. Like
yeah.
out of
Saw
nowhere.
him. Mm.
Like, yeah. Not particularly like that guy, yeah. Anyways, every other content creator on the planet, you're good in my book. We've had content creators that we've worked with professionally for various things. Great guys. If
Mm-hmm.
anybody's watched our
Yeah,
stream for long enough, we've had other partners. We've had
yeah,
other things going with us. It you know, it is what it is. Like the great guys, we don't have any issues with them. You know, uh,
yeah, yeah.
but yeah. Anyways, the biggest thing here is that I want to say thank you to Amazon for not doing what other games try and do, not being crazy with the microtransactions for the pay for convenience or the pay for
Pay
pay to
for
win
advantage or
type
anything,
stuff.
pay to
Like
win stuff. Yeah,
it's so much better to go this route. Obviously, they're still making good money on the skins, and they're still handing out skins left and right. You got a Twitch drop going on right now. If you log into the game and open the store, you actually get a free Roman skin. So go to the armor section of the store. You can claim that
yeah.
for free right now. Uh,
And it's
That's
a
what I've
set.
been
It's a
wearing.
skin set. Like
Yeah,
it's you know it's all the different kind of things. So like you know if you're into kind of mixing different skin sets up for various different things, that I mean I kind of do. Like
yeah.
you know it's not like it's just one skin. It's like a whole bunch of skins.
Hmm.
So you know
So yeah,
free skin
there's a
and there's
free
also
skin there, and there's a drop going on Twitch right now. So if you watch
yeah
4 hours of New World content, you get a drop.
there's
For
also
those
some
that don't know,
free
if you
like
haven't
housing stuff
chatted
as well.
yet, Twitch occasionally does not like. I say this, and this is why this is good practice, and it's common practice across Twitch for people to do the exclamation point drops thing, and it's just for like
Mm-hmm.
the first comment when you start chatting in a stream. If there's drops going, it officially tells Twitch that you're in that channel, even though they're broadcasting to you. Occasionally, it doesn't catch. So it's that first interaction with the stream to basically be like, "Oh, hey, they are actually
Yeah,
here. Let's start the timer." I know that
yeah. So
sounds
it's like
weird. I'm not trying to like drive up the thing, drive up interactions or anything, but like what I am trying to do is trying to make sure that you get credit for all the time that you're here. Because
yeah.
you know, you want the drop, we want you to get the drop. There's a reason we run the show, and who doesn't want free
Tr-
shit?
tr-
Like,
trust me,
and it's cool
if you've
skins.
streamed before,
Yeah.
you understand that like you know Twitch is a little slow on the whole kind of like you know metrics side of things. You know they're fine with like metrics
Hmm.
after the fact. Like you know they'll give you metrics after the fact, but like
Yeah.
you know the here and now metrics are like you know something that Twitch are kind of bad at in terms of like updating things quickly.
Oh yeah.
So as we say, you know
And it doesn't
it's
have to
just a
be
it's just a
exclamation
good
point drop. You
practice.
can just put
Yeah, it could
anything
be
in chat.
anything.
Like you can put an
Yeah, it could
emote
be
for all I
anything.
care. Like
Yeah, you
it.
could also sub to it,
Yeah.
and it's fine. Like that's
Hey,
that.
thanks for the sub. Yeah.
Actually we you know subbing to make sure that that Twitch knows that you're actually in chat is also a very good way of doing it as well.
Yes,
So
that is
thank you, Adam's
definitely a
game.
method that is approved.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
the gist of it is it like pokes Twitch to be like, hey, here's that thing. Here's this specific thing that is going to just trigger the counter to start. I know it sounds
yeah.
weird, but yeah. If you've ever run a Twitch stream, you can see this in the background where like the number that you see for live viewers on the page with the channel is actually different than the number of live viewers that we see on the dashboard. Um, because it's measuring two different things. One is measuring raw viewers, and the other one is measuring active viewers. So like basically the confirmed Twitch back and forth. It's validated these users are in channel versus here are the people that are all watching or watching in an audio only format or watching that have joined but might not have done anything to trigger Twitch to count them as an active viewer yet. So it's kind of there's some oddities around it. Fun and games when it comes to numbers. It is what it is. Anyways, free
Mhm.
skins, both drops and in game. Make sure to go collect both of them when you get them. Totally worth it. I'm personally using the Roman Legionnaire skin because it's freaking baller. Like I've been asking for it
I've
for
got
3 years. Like
yeah, yeah.
you know,
I've adapted it with a couple of things, but you know, basically same thing. I'm using that Roman Legionnaire's skin because it's pretty
mhm.
awesome.
Now that said, I'm also the governor of the 19th Legion, so it kind of
Kind of
fits.
necessary, right?
Yeah, it would be awkward if I wasn't wearing it.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, uh, a Wheel of Time, I believe, is getting a second season, so I would anticipate that we probably will get another set of drops for that. Hopefully, I'm actually kind
Most
of
likely.
surprised that they didn't do the oh, I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Oh, what like the
Lord of the Rings.
Lord of the Rings
I'm
one?
kind of
Yeah.
surprised they didn't, but I'm sure there was like a licensing dispute or something on that. Because like if you don't know, Amazon was also in the works to build an MMO for Lord of the Rings. The partner company that they were working with was then bought by Tencent, and if you know anything about Tencent, they're itch to work with when it
Yeah,
comes to
they
gaming.
can they push their weight around quite a lot,
Yes.
and people can get really aggravated about the fact that like you know they just ask for what they want, and if they don't get it, they essentially you know start to get
Mhm.
really like the bit like unhelpful and really kind of terrible business practices. Basically,
Yes.
you essentially sort of as a company want to be like, no, I'm steering way the hell clear out of those, from those guys. Like, yeah,
Now
that's
let's talk
essentially it.
about creative marketing for a moment,
Oh,
because I
okay,
think that
okay.
this is the best case scenario for New World because it's the least likely to cause any shit, but still has some people riled up. When you log
Mm-hmm.
into the game, the game boots up and it goes to the tile screen of, here's game news and blah blah blah. Click. Everybody just clicks through, goes straight to log into the server, and then boom, done. Like they hardly ever read it. On that main page, one of the tiles is an ad to go watch Lord of the Rings. And here's the thing, if that's how they make their money, I don't care. And that is a controversial statement because I'm allowing ads in a video game and blah blah blah. It is a screen that people spend on average 4 seconds on while they are trying to get to the
I,
next screen.
I think
And
4
it took
seconds is
3 weeks for
your.
them to see it. It took 3 weeks for people to even see it.
I mean, I would say 4 seconds. You're being generous even there. Like half a second, maybe. Like I already clicked through that straight away. Like,
and the other thing is, we're playing basically like a fantasy game, magic, the whole works. It fits. Yeah. Like we are the target audience. So, like,
true.
Why is this a bad thing that they're telling us? Hey, here's this thing that you like playing this game. You're probably gonna like,
Yeah.
And it's the same with Wheel of Time. Same concept. Like, fundamentally speaking, hey, there's this new thing. Maybe you see it, maybe you don't. Maybe there are people who actually read that screen. I like most of the time, the only time I'm on that screen for any lengthy amount of time is when somebody tells me that there's a survey on that screen or a survey link on that screen that most of the time like hits the Reddit first, and then I go, oh, I should check in game that's actually the right link, and that people are
I should look at that screen.
And that's the longest I spend on that screen because it is what it is. I don't think that's a problem to have an ad for that on the title screen for the game. Now, if they start adding billboards in Windsward with "Come watch Lord of the Rings," then
that's a different matter.
Yeah,
like,
but the other thing is, if they start giving us free skins that is like, hey, you want a fire staff that looks like Gandalf's staff? Fuck yeah, I do. Like, who the hell doesn't? Like the only question there is gray or white. Like,
yeah, very true, very very true.
Like, and I like at that point, yeah, every time you click into your skins menu, it's an ad for Lord of the Rings. Because it's gonna say Lord of the Rings Gandalf or like whatever. Like if they ever did that, but who's gonna complain? Like
I don't think so. Like,
yeah.
I mean, it'd be a different thing if it was a banner ad that suddenly appeared on your screen as like part of like a UI element. Yeah, that would be completely different.
Or like if they added a mandatory ad when you logged into a server, like a mandatory Twitch ad break.
But if it's just like an item that references something like from Lord of the Rings, like that's fine by me. Jesus Christ.
I'm reasonably sure that there's some sort of parody video out there where Gandalf has a gun. I'm sure that's on YouTube somewhere. Like I'm positive I've seen a parody.
Yeah.
Like I want to say it's like Gangsters of Middle Earth. Like if somebody can find that and post that to the Discord, that would be wonderful.
I can imagine it being like some kind of version of "Say hello to my little friend," that kind of thing. Probably something like that.
So we gotta continue on. There's a bunch more to talk about here too.
There's a few other things, for sure.
So one of the other things we haven't even hit on this. The major thing that came out with the game is the greatsword. It's the newest weapon to the game. We haven't mentioned in the whole show. We have not mentioned that there's a new weapon.
Good point.
which this new weapon has both a assault stance and a defensive stance. So like you can go full aggro on people, and it like one of the perks is like a guaranteed crit on your next hit, which is freaking baller. uh, it's a really strong weapon. It
Mm-hmm.
has its ups and downs. It's I would say it's good. It's very good. I like it.
So
I'm
the
also
other
looking
thing that
forward to the next weapon that isn't released right now, but they have confirmed that they're working on. Maybe it's daggers. You know,
I did want to
uh,
mention, like, I don't think we actually showcased it like on the on last week's show, but like there was the AGS like released a video, like a weapon spotlight of for the for the greatsword. That,
yes,
like, from a sort of like a cinematography sort of standpoint, from a like just you know like you want to showcase a sword, like a new weapon in a game, etc., etc. How do you go about that from a video sort of standpoint, right? You can do that in a whole host of different ways. I think the way that AGS did this, in the style that they did, was really, really good.
yes.
Like, it
Speaking
has
of, we're
a
gonna play that video on
backstory. It
stream,
has, yeah, definitely.
so I need to make
You
sure
need
to
you
set
need to
this
see you
to
need
the
to see
highest
this.
quality, full
Yep.
screen. Um,
And I'll make sure that, like, I'll make sure to
Set this up.
I'll make sure to see if the audio is coming through, and I'll let you know if it's not.
Again. 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 Good. This weapon has been in our family for generations. It is a symbol of our resolve. With a weapon as mighty as this, your onslaught will be unstoppable. Every swing, your momentum grows. Your balance, perfect. Your finish, devastating.
Assassin's
When
Creed.
you raise your blade to the
Had to be
sky,
said.
the gods themselves will tremble. When you stare down death, stand in defiance. Use the hate of your enemies against them. Even if they beg for mercy, show them no quarter. Heed my words, son. Follow your training. And remember, wherever your journey takes you, your ancestors follow. From the streets of Rome to the shores of Eternum, they will know no man or god can withstand the power of our great sword.
All right. Simply put, that is just dope, like in every way. There we go. Just getting all the elements back online. Like, the Greatsword is friggin' awesome. That is an awesome trailer. They have, in my opinion, they've really upped their game on the trailers. They also released new Touring Eternum, Monarch's Bluff, and Everfall episodes. So, like, if you're interested in seeing some of those, they're pretty good. They've got some kind of cheeky humor in them too. It is important to note that, as I said, the next weapon that is in development, according to the developers, is the dagger. So
Yes.
daggers will be next, according to the last developer update. And from there may be a bunch of others in the works.
Mm.
We'll see what happens. They have stated that they do like adding new weapons. Of course, it adds more of a balance issue. The more weapons you have, some of them have counters to each other, so you don't want to introduce something and leave something else out, or make something irrelevant. So that's always a factor when you release new equipment. I think the Greatsword is a perfect weapon to add right now. I know some people have mentioned that it would be great to add another healing or focus-based weapon. I agree that I think that should be maybe not the next weapon, but the one after should be something around that. Because I know they've already confirmed daggers, but like the next one would be kind of good. I also think that I actually had a list that I put in one of my channels about weapons, and like what I expected. So here's the path that I think is going to happen, based on looking in the game files, based on kind of reading the tea leaves, and like what I would do. So I think we know daggers are going to be next, so I put that. I think pistols will come after that. I think an earth-based magic weapon that will be like a mage tank. I think that would be, like, in my opinion, I think that would be a really good fit for like a focused-based mage tank build. And then kind of like earth bending. If you've ever seen Avatar, like I think that would be a really cool addition. Um, I thought water-based magic might also be an interesting one to add, but there is kind of that with ice already, so like maybe we could push that one. Adding a pole arm or a halberd. Personally, I would lobby for something like a naginata. For those that don't know what that is, it's basically a sword at the end of a pole.
Well, I mean, we do have like sort of some Asian sort of like influences already in the game, like, but nothing super Asian, like sort of we don't really have a weapon that's kind of like a sort of like has that sort of theme to it yet, so that'd be kind of interesting.
Make basically turn the spear into piercing damage, turn the like pole arm into slashing damage, like different same kind of from there adding something like the maces. We know those exist. We know they have the art for them and the moves for them. It's just getting them back into the game. I think adding something like javelin and shield would be kind of a cool thing to add. A bow staff would be another one to look at, and then from there adding potentially shield trees to things like hatchets and pistols. I think that would be a good way to go from there. I don't obviously that's not a confirmed list from the devs, but like if I was them, that's the direction I would go. We'll see what happens, but like I think that would be a pretty cool thing. And then from there we should just add predator drones, right? Like I think that's the natural evolution, like sword shield. Let's add flintlock and then we'll just AGMs from orbit.
I think they need to add the ability for you to have a spear and shield, very much like Crash says in chat. Like before they add predator drones, for example.
I also think at some point they should add a great shield which would be a low damage, high tank weapon. Which basically is like you put a stick on it or something for all I care. Like like put a pointy bit on it. It'll deal a little bit of damage or just blunt force trauma. But like I think that would be
Yeah.
actually pretty cool. Just as
There's
like a
there's definitely
hard tank type thing to go with some of the larger things that they're going to be doing. Which we talked about this in a prior show a little bit, but one of the things that they announced is that they're looking into raid content.
Oh
Looking
yes,
into that
yes.
ballpark 20-man PvE content.
Maybe or higher. Yeah.
It's not, like they're not promising anything soon, but like if that's being developed, like getting really good tanks is going to be important because if it takes 20 people to kill it, odds are it's going to do some decently solid damage to you if you're not supposed to be tanking it.
That is very, very true. I do kind of feel like the world boss in the Night Valhalla is kind of maybe a little bit of an experiment to that.
One-handed longsword? I don't know about. I mean, you can have a sword right now without a shield. Like you can use the normal sword without a shield if you want.
You're not really going to have much use with the shield kind of tree side of things, but shield bash isn't exactly going to be something that you can use.
As somebody that has two swords sitting behind him, I wouldn't dare wield a single one of these with one hand.
However, if you could use two single-handed swords at the same time, or two shields at the same time, and those trees like split and combined in interesting, unique ways, that would be kind of interesting. That would be kind of cool.
Double Gladius would be fun too.
Ooh, yeah.
But that kind of mimics a dagger, kind of, sort of. Same, but not. Like somebody out there who actually fights with short swords is probably going to be like, it's totally different, and I'm going to get canceled for that. But you
could do the Assassin's Creed Valhalla double shield kind of meta. Right?
That was so broken.
That was totally broken. Yeah.
So true. So true. So that's of course a good thing. These are all good things. I would like to note we're gonna shift threads here a little bit, and we're gonna talk a little bit about some Reddit drama. Because as one of the moderators for the subreddit for r-new world game, there's some funny shit that happens there on the regular.
I mean, there's some very, very tongue-in-cheek and very ironic or sarcastic kind of posts as well that have been very, very, just beautiful.
So, by the way, if you're ever wondering who bans people off the subreddit, yes, I'm the guy. You can blame me. It's either me or Josh Rice, like one or the other. And like the reality is, if we ban you, you probably deserved it. It's rare that we ban somebody at this point and they didn't deserve it. We have done a lot of work to clean up that subreddit.
You've kind of got your eye in on what you really kind of think, what you really feel is actually the line.
Yes. It's been an interesting process. Obviously, like at launch, things went to shit. But like we've got a lot more practice and a lot more automation involved. But like we feel like we've got it to a much better and healthier place as a subreddit. Obviously, it's gotten busy again, and we're dealing with that. But like, I think it's.
I remember you showing me the metrics of the increase in the amount of posts that occurred after launch, and it was like an absolute cliff edge, like it just goes. I mean, not cliff edge, but like it was a literal cliff face, like going straight up. It was ridiculous.
So to put this into context, this is the Oh wow, this is totally broken. Anyways, comments
Yeah,
per
there we go.
day. So like
Yeah,
you can
there we
see the
go.
beta, and then the game
And then
launches, and 13,000 comments in one day. We topped out around over 15,000 comments in a day. Um, it of course trailed off, and of course it's been getting busier. Posts per day. Obviously, it spiked recently a little bit here. Nothing crazy, but like,
Mhm.
you could tell this was a bit much. 2,000 some in one day was a lot. Um,
I mean, even with the
so yeah,
amount of mods that you had at the time, like after the two subreddit like boards had actually merged and all that kind of jazz, like still dealing with 15,000 posts a day,
yes,
like even with it being the peak, like that is still a Herculean task.
yes. So some funny stuff has happened. Let's cover some of these. Apparently, the musket is really starting to aggravate people. Because they both either A, don't understand how resilience works, B, don't understand how defensive gems work, in that you can negate a substantial amount of the damage if you have the right gems. Like, if that's what you're concerned about and you're constantly dying to muskets, maybe A, hide behind something, or B, use equipment that doesn't suck. Uh, like, because
Yeah.
if you're getting one or two shot, then your equipment sucks. Like, being totally real. Because they're
But
basically
I
just
would
critting you to
say
death.
I would say that this is probably a little bit less of an issue now, like with the gear score sort of leveling that's
Yes.
going on in OBS. Like, um,
Also, there's more
sorry,
than one door
OPR,
in
not
OPR.
OBS, OPR. Yeah,
There
my
is
bad.
more than one way out of your base in OPR. That is an important
Exactly.
thing to note because most people can't figure that out. And if you keep getting shot the second you leave the door by somebody with a musket who's just critting you to death, maybe try either of the other two doors
Yeah,
and run around the edge of the map to avoid them.
yeah, exactly.
Like, just saying, I've never had a problem getting out of the base, but apparently that's a thing for people. You know, I people are gonna forever just shoot me with muskets every round now.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
uh,
Yeah, most
yeah.
definitely.
That said, of course, the musket, in my opinion, I think is perfectly fine. Yes, it is a hit scan weapon, but like, you know, it's not that strong if you know what you're doing. Um, but yeah.
And also,
Uh,
you need to learn. You need to learn cover, and you need to learn to move. Like,
yes.
it's one of those things. It's like, so yeah, it's a hit scan weapon, fair enough, right? Yeah, like, do we have snipers? Were there snipers back in the day? Back in those days, probably not, because muskets weren't meant to be, like, realistically, muskets were never super accurate, like, because tolerances and manufacturing processes and all that kind of jazz, right? But like, you know, you especially because, like, if you've ever played a game where you've had like a somebody who's decided to, like, realistically um model the damage of a shotgun being kind of like a scatter, but like it changes here, there, and everywhere. People get immensely frustrated about that because it's so random. If you imparted that randomness into muskets, that like you couldn't shoot something because you weren't entirely that certain as to where the ball was going to go, where the shot was going to hit, like, people would get immensely frustrated, and that's the reason why the musket is actually quite as accurate as it is, right? Yeah, fair enough. They you didn't have snipers back in the day, but in all kind of PvP games like this, and I learned this in PUBG, is like, never stand still in a PvP scenario. Like, always keep moving, because if you stand still, chances are there's gonna be that dude that's looking at you, that's waiting for you to stand still so he can get that headshot on you. Don't stand still.
If you're
keep moving.
using your auto run key in OPR, you're doing something wrong. Like, you doing anything predictable. Like, this is the fastest way to be able to dodge damage, is to just not run in a straight line. Do like dodge and weave, like that should be something that people know from other PvP type games. Like if you've ever played Call of Duty, running in a straight line is going to get you sniped. Like
just learn and apply the 5 Ds of dodgeball: duck, weave, dodge, duck, and dive.
I thought it was dodge twice.
That's
anyways.
That's how they say it in the movie, you idiot.
Anyways, so the biggest thing is just the musket is not that strong. If it is the bane of your existence, wear gear to prevent it. Put in gems to actively prevent it. They're not only specific to the musket. Like
and if
you're going to be able to take other damage.
Yeah, and if you're concerned about aimbots, then it is always an arms race regarding, cheats and anti-cheats. And at some point in time, those cheats will get caught and those players will get banned. So just if you're concerned about aimbots when it comes to muskets, just give it time.
On the topic of bot behavior, we've got some funny ones. Yes. That made it to the Reddit here.
A
real human would never nonstop farm for 10 hours. Me nonstop farming for 10 hours while watching Netflix in the background. It's so true. But what they're trying to get at, the devs on side of things, is that the normal human within 10 hours is going to go take a bathroom break or go let the dog out or something. So it is obvious if that happens and it just doesn't take a break ever. But it is kind of funny. It is very funny actually. And one of the other complaints, and this is anti-botting from AGS's side, but at the same time kind of frustrating for the average player, especially if you spend a lot of time in the market. I really think that we need to do something about potentially getting kicked out of the server for AFK while you're actively surfing through the market. I feel like we can add that to actions that they count towards not being AFK.
The thing is, you can be hyper concentrated on a certain area of the screen when you're going through market orders and stuff, and not see that little pop up that comes up saying please, what is, I can't even remember what it is. Please interact with the game.
Are you still here?
You're about to get kicked. Are you still here? And as a little thing that goes across. Yeah,
So that's another big one. There's always more. Make sure to check out the subreddit. We just added the new banner art today, or actually yesterday for the release. So it's got a new fancy look to it. Unless you're like me and use the Reddit is fun, or RIF is fun on your phone and don't actually get any of the fancy stuff that we do. That said, there's always good stuff on there. There's always good stuff on nwdb.info. Highly recommend checking them out. And just in general, go check out Brimstone Sands. If you don't want to check it out yet, the Fresh Start servers are going to be on November 2nd. Cloud and I are both going to move over and play on Fresh Start servers as well. You still get to keep your old characters. It's just starting a new character on a new server, which you're getting a new character slot for. So don't fret. You don't have to delete a character for that to take advantage of that. It just has to be on a different world set, which can be kind of difficult to explain. But
and remember, if you're gonna go and explore Brimstone Sands, make sure that you do the couple of quests that you need to do before entering it, so you actually have the balm or the sort of tincture that you apply to yourself in order for you to not catch on fire when you go to Brimstone Sands.
Yes.
If you want to know specifically how to find those sorts of things, Like, YouTube is your friend. Like, literally just go there. Like, ask, like, just type in Brimstone Sands, quests, etc. And it'll pop up. There's so many different content creators that are making, you know, how-to videos and that kind of stuff. So just remember, you need to do a couple of quests before going.
Yes, it's going to take you a little bit longer because you have to go, you know, run the quest, but like, it is what it is. But there is nothing funnier than watching chat going, why did Brimstone, I just was running across Brimstone Sands and it just killed me. I just got there. This is BS. And it's like, maybe you should check your, you know, journal. Like, you know.
And don't get fooled by anybody who says like, oh yeah, no, it's just it's a thing in Brimstone Sands. So you just, like, you know, it's a roll of the dice as to whether you're going to get burned or not. Like, you know, you just have to take your chance.
Yes.
Like,
now,
no,
that said, those chests that are in the sulfur pools, that's bait.
Yeah,
that's bait. That's hard bait.
Yeah, that's bait.
Yeah, that's bait. don't bite on that. They're not worth it. You will die to acid. Done that more than once.
Yeah.
So that is actually all we have in terms of our show notes for tonight. I do want to take a quick moment and thank everybody for joining the show. If you want to hit that follow button, you know, it is much appreciated. Those out there that hit the sub button, it is always much appreciated. Everybody is more than welcome to come hang out on our Discord. If you want to come game with us, you can come join the Frislandia server on US East. We'll be there, you know, playing all the time. You know, outside of that, you know, make sure to set on your calendars because we're going to be doing all kinds of different giveaways. December 9th is this show's 3-year anniversary covering New World topics. So please come join us. It's going to be a great time. Hopefully we'll have some other stuff to announce and some other, you know, some other major things going on.
I'm gonna have to go buy a bunch of prizes to give away, aren't I?
Yes. Well, I could probably buy them this time. So
I do have some Spotify vouchers, actually, some Spotify premium kind of like gift cards that I can, you know, throw into the mix.
So yeah, you know, join the Discord, join the community, maintain being a part of things. I know people come and go, but if you want to keep up to date on the game, best place to do it is our Discord. It's got automated links, so if you guys want to see, specific stuff, you know, specific stuff about, you know, like you want to see YouTube videos from New World when they come out, our Discord is the place to be. It automatically pulls it right away, and that's how, like, if you ever notice when things get pinned to the Reddit, it's oftentimes me. Sometimes people beat me to it because I can't be there 24/7, but, like, you know, I got automated feeds on my Discord that allow me to be first to get that dank Reddit karma. You know, gotta get it somehow. You know, and if you get the automated feeds, it's totally worth it. So come check it out. We've got other games as well if you're interested. You know, so you can set up roles to receive notifications on Star Citizen, Lost Ark, and there's some general channels Apex as well. We got Apex Legends that we track for changes. We got you know, like Linus Tech Tips and some other video, you know, content creators out there that we, you know, make sure that we post their stuff to the server just so that people are aware of tech news and stuff like that. So yeah. It's kind of an all-purpose thing. If you don't like chatting with us, there's a ton of other resources. If you want to chat and just hang out and look at a lot of the old concept art from the game, we also have the largest single library of images of the original concept art of the game, including the original YouTube videos. They're now on the Discord in the art all category. You know, simply put, if you want to go check that out, it could be kind of cool to see where the game came from, how it developed over time. It's a long scroll back. It's somewhere in the tune of about 1,000 images. You know, for those that don't know, in order to run the show for 3 years, they had to release some information over the 2 years that it was behind an NDA. So, Well, it was behind an NDA for much longer than that, but the show only existed for 2 years during the NDA period. So,
Yeah.
But simply put, thank you guys. And as we always love to say, we will see you in the new world.